Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, welcome to another movie watch time here.
Good evening, good morning, good day, whatever. It's evening here.
And
well, this time we're going to do the second part of the Blues Brothers, which should tell you that we really enjoyed the first part.
yeah,
Didn't
the
we?
first one, the longer it sits with me, the more I felt like, well, when we did our review, it was immediately after the movie, and we were like, okay, but the longer it sits over the past few days, I feel like, actually, that was kind
A
of
sweet movie.
there's a sweetness
It's a
about
sweet
it.
movie.
And
Yeah.
so I was excited when he told me that there is a sequel, a follow-up, a second Blues Brothers
It's a
movie
second.
that was made later.
Yes, it's made in 1998. It's called The Blues Brothers 2000. You will notice a few changes. Some of the actors from the first movie died meanwhile, and one of them was one of the Blues Brothers. The short guy tragically died, John Belushi, because of an overdose. But other actors as well, Cab Calloway and John Candy, also died. Obviously, they replaced. You will see some figures which were in the first movie, like Aretha Franklin, for example, and other musicians as well.
Okay, and yes, that kind of reminds me, what am I expecting with this? Well, I don't always have expectations going into movie because I don't really know. But now that I've watched the first Blues Brothers, I expect that this one will also be focused on blues music.
Obviously.
And both probably feature some stars in that genre.
Yes.
So you just said
You
Franklin.
will see somebody that you know. And that
Okay.
is Eric Clapton.
Oh, okay.
Eric Clapton was there.
All right. So it's going to be fun to watch and see. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
Let's watch it. All right. Okay, so the first thing that comes to my mind is Home Alone 2, Rainbow 2, Matrix 2, whatever 2. Like, I'm thinking you just had some success with the movie, and then you want to milk it some more, and you just put together a second part, but you don't know really what to do, and so you're just redoing in a way the first part.
It felt like.
How did it feel to you?
Yeah. So when I think of a movie that follows another movie, what am I looking for? I'm looking for maybe another chapter in the story. And I guess I had hopes of that, especially since one of the main stars had died. So I expected it to be kind of a new chapter, something, kind of in the same lines. But this felt more like somebody didn't like the first chapter, felt like they could, and wanted to rewrite the same chapter over again.
They didn't like? I don't know.
But here's how it. Or maybe they liked it and they felt like, oh, that was a good chapter. Let's do another chapter and rewrite it. Use the same formula. I mean, okay, what did we have? We had the same somebody. The movie starts out with somebody getting out of jail. And then
The same
course,
idea. I'm going out to put up the band. The Lord works in mysterious
put the band
ways.
together. Well, it wasn't. We're on a mission from God this time.
But the Lord works in mysterious ways.
We had the same run-ins with. Okay, so
More cars crashing.
although it didn't
Didn't have the same. It was just one scene. It was just that one. Yeah.
And then the Nazi group was replaced with
Russian.
a
mob.
Russian Russian mafia group.
Mafia. Yeah.
But other than that, and the ending was more kind of like, okay, drive off into the sunset, happily ever after. You know how the story is going to go from here on out.
Yeah, the thing is that
it didn't have the same. It felt like it never got wind in the sails. It felt like it could never lift off the ground like the first one did.
Yeah, and it's not. I don't feel this, and I don't. Well, now, clearly, directly, I didn't like it. I didn't.
I can't say that I enjoyed it particularly.
Okay, that's Amy's very gentle way to say when she doesn't like something. I cannot say I really enjoyed it. I didn't like it. And that's not because it's an old movie, doesn't have the video effects and whatever. No, because we enjoyed the first one, which was even older. That's not it.
I love old movies.
Yes.
I really enjoy old movies. But this one, it felt, actually, I have to say it felt sort of amateurish.
Yes, very amateurish.
And it felt kind of grotesque. In other words, I understand it's a comedy movie, like the first one. So it has to be exaggerated and overdone. But this was overdone to the point that it didn't have an impact anymore. It's like, well, okay, let's go with music. At some point, you turn the volume up on all the instruments and everything's so screaming loud, there is no longer any impact to a loud moment in the music because everything is just, it's too much. And so I sit there watching all these ridiculous, improbable things happening, and I'm thinking, and your point is, you know, the first one, I felt like there was a point to some of those exaggerations.
Yes.
It was either highlighting,
and they had a flavor.
Yes.
They had a something sweet in them. Now, why did I say Home Alone 2 and Rambo 2 and then 3 and I guess Rambo 4? You didn't watch them, but anyway, you audience, you know what I'm talking about, because just as I said, I thought, okay, you have success with one movie and then you want to milk it some more. But I remember reading in the Wikipedia that they invested $30 million in this movie. That's how much it cost. And it grossed 32.1. So it was, even financially, it was a disaster. It was a disaster.
Okay, look. We're complaining about this. We're being kind of hard on the movie. But let's face it. Sometimes somebody's artistic vision just doesn't come out the way they wanted. I can forgive that. Okay, so what are the things that were actually interesting to me about this movie? I guess the thing that stood out to me most as being kind of interesting, dynamic, and perhaps even a bit educational was the final big Battle of the Bands competition, which really ended up being only two bands competing against each other. Okay, fine.
Yeah, well, they wanted to play the entire music, entire songs.
They both ended up performing a blues piece of music, okay? But it was two different styles of blues. One was more of the soul blues, and the other was more of the rhythm and blues. And it was nice to hear and to see those two pieces set side by side, and to compare and contrast, and just to feel the difference between the two. I felt like that was a really fine, probably the finest moment in the movie as far as substance, value, and interest to me as a musician.
Well, you have very high class musicians there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the other thing.
And you could see them at the end of the movie, right?
The credits, I guess. Yeah. There was Eric Clapton. I recognized that name, and you pointed him out to me.
And we we did sit down and we watched the credits. We watched and we were, okay, this and this.
And I was looking to see how many of those names do I recognize. Well, you have to understand, I'm no expert in the blues genre, so a lot of them I didn't recognize. I did recognize Eric Clapton. I did recognize B.B. King. So those are the two.
And Aretha Franklin.
Well, that was from the previous movie. But,
yeah, but
those two,
yes,
beyond the ones who showed up in the first movie.
Yes, yeah.
I saw in the credits. And
yeah.
so.
But again, back to this idea of first part and second part. I'm thinking about, okay, Chernobyl is a miniseries, that's different, or Band of Brothers is a miniseries, but like a movie like The Equalizer, which you haven't watched, with Denzel Washington, again, I guess it has like 3 or 4 parts, but I feel like with The Equalizer, each part, although it's built around the same idea, they put their new things, new aspects. Each Equalizer movie can stand on its own 2 feet and you get something out of it. Whereas here, this felt so empty. It felt like an empty shell.
It felt like they simply took the same formula.
Yeah.
And exaggerated it even more.
I mean, we didn't even had a "I'll be back in 5 minutes" thing in here.
No.
I mean, at least one little thing.
That was still so good.
Yeah, we didn't have that.
I mean, formula. We had cars crashing. Oh, by the way, the cars crashing, right? I said they didn't have the same impact. And he says they crashed more cars in this movie.
Yes, that's what
Wikipedia says. But it
didn't
feel like it to me. It didn't feel like it to me.
Well, it was only one scene.
First one went on and on and on. And I remember thinking, man, when are the cars going to stop crashing? This just goes on forever. And this time...
They just made that big pile of cars.
And that was it.
Towards the end. And that was it.
Okay, I noticed a few things. I mean, the sunglasses still remained on their faces at all times. The hats over their heads. What other things? The mother of the children's home.
The nun.
Yeah, I think she was upgraded to mother.
Yeah. Okay.
She still had her. These same things that showed up in the first one, but they didn't have any new spice to them. They didn't have any new application. It was like I was watching the same thing over again. So, but...
Okay, so, let's see.
We're struggling here to come up with something complimentary.
Let's see. Would you watch it? I wouldn't watch it again. Would you watch it with Lisa? Would you watch this one with Lisa?
No, I have no interest in watching this one again.
No.
I mean,
the first one, I would sit down with Lisa and watch it.
It was sweet. It does have a special charm to it. And I guess maybe one of the things that watching this one does, in a way, strangely, it highlights some of the special sweetness and charm of the first movie.
Exactly. And it helps you better appreciate the first one.
Because at first I was kind of ambivalent about that one. I was like, it was sweet, fun to check out for a little while, but nothing grand. But then, as I said, it sat with me for a few days, and I start to feel a sort of fondness towards it. And now, after watching this one, the things that make me feel that attraction to it are more obvious. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that's all I have to say about that. Just to quote Forrest Gump. That was the Blues Brothers 2000. We are planning to do some more musicals. I have some other documentaries in my mind that I would
musicals and documentaries are two different things.
I know. Musicals and documentaries in my mind that I would like Amy to watch. So stay tuned, and we'll be back in 5 minutes.